Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about locations in the Walking Dead universe. I know saying that sounds basic as a video idea, but this is something I've wanted to talk about for a long time, and I know this is something a lot of you guys will enjoy. So I've been watching this show since middle school, and when you're young, you get into movies and TV shows for one reason or another. Most of us watch this show because we found the concept of zombies as scary, or the idea of them at least was intriguing. Later on, you come to enjoy the story and the characters as well as the zombies, but one thing you might not realize you like, or one thing I feel like is not talked about enough, is set design. The world surrounding our survivors is essential in setting the tone, because if the world around them doesn't match up, then whether it's conscious or subconscious, your audience knows something feels off. This show uses the environment better than any show I've ever seen, and I feel like that's the main reason it's had longevity with me. I enjoy the characters and some of the story, of course, but after so many years of watching it, I've just found new interest in this show outside of the story and its characters. That's best seen with the niche topics I've talked about already, like neighborhoods in The Walking Dead, side missions, herds, and most recently FEMA. After all these years, I just find new things to appreciate, so with that being said, I wanted to talk about the environment, specifically locations that I find really interesting. I rewatched a ton of episodes and compiled a list of my favorite places. I didn't just stop at the main show when it came to these places, because I have favorites from other shows in this universe, so I've put in a mix of locations from every show just to switch it up a bit and have some fun. They're also not going to be in chronological order because I want them to feel randomized for you. Most of these locations have a story you can piece together through the environment, or they just momentarily act as set pieces for a scene. There are also some that I just enjoy for cosmetic reasons that have no impact on the plot, but just serve as background visuals. Also, disclaimer, I want to say that this is part 1 of a part 3 series that I've already typed up, so if this video doesn't have a location from each show, then another video definitely will. I'm also not putting settlements on here. These are strictly just one-stop shop locations. I just love the wider world of this show and of the apocalypse, as I'm sure some of you do, so if that kind of thing interests you, then I'm sure you'll enjoy this. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. For the first location on our list, we have the Sigert family farm. This is a location we see in just the very first episode of the main show. Rick comes across this farm when his cruiser runs out of gas en route to Atlanta.
Hello?
While trying to see if anyone's home, he looks through the window and sees this. Rick finds 2 bodies rotting in their home and is mortified, as he should be. Here he sees a couple who'd rather end everything over any attempt to survive in the new world. I feel this sight is what fuels him to find his family even more. We can assume the husband shot his wife first, and before he took his own life, he wrote what Rick doesn't see, "God forgive us," in blood on the wall. This aspect of this whole scenario is the strangest part. I can fathom not wanting to live in a world like this, but what mind state were they in to go to these lengths? The husband writing this message in his wife's blood tells me this action broke him completely. It's extremely dark for a first episode, but its place here is to show the audience the devastating psychological toll of the apocalypse. I love the storytelling of this location, and for that reason, it made the list. Now, this next one is a small location from Fear the Walking Dead, and a massive detour from the previous one. We see Grace and Daniel travel to a vinyl store in search for useful items. Daniel specifically comes here to hunt for vinyl records, wanting to preserve music in the apocalypse.
Daniel.
I got a bunch of great records. Chuck Berry, John Lee Hooker, Traveling Wilburys.
I really enjoy this shot of Grace on the roof and the whole look of the abandoned parking lot below. I know it's simple and we don't even see walkers here, but it's little areas like this that made me realize how important the environment is in creating the atmosphere of the apocalypse. This is the first one I enjoy on the list purely for cosmetic reasons, so I had to add it. Now we have a big set piece location that we see towards the end of season 1, after our group is attacked in their camp by walkers wandering out of the city. After deliberating on where to go, the group decides to go to the CDC. I have to say, I really love the architecture of this building and the set design of it. With the military vehicles and the bodies scattered everywhere, it tells a story of a grueling last stand just through the environment, and I love that. This, alongside Rick entering the city, is what elevated the series and showed viewers how bad things really were. This was a truly unique location to visit so early on in the show, and it sticks with me forever. Frank Darabont cooked so hard in his time on this show. Now we have a place the group visits in the first episode of season 2. When looking for Sophia, the group hears bells and assume it's Sophia. They come across a church, and inside they find something truly eerie. Walkers sitting in the church as if they're waiting for service. I know this has been talked about for a long time as a strange moment in walker behavior, but we know Frank Darabont had a different idea for walkers. Rather than just mindless monsters, they held a semblance of their past lives. This is my favorite example of Frank's original walkers. Also, I know this is off track, but I wanted to mention this moment with Carol as she prays in the church. She says,
"Prayed for Ed to be punished for laying his hands on me. I prayed you'd put a stop to it."
Then says,
"Praying for Ed's death was a sin. Please, don't let this be my punishment."
And finally, she asks for her daughter to be safe and alive.
"Let her be safe, alive and safe. Punish me however you want, but show mercy on her."
Most importantly, she asks for mercy. We know Sophia was already gone by this point, so I think finding her at all was the mercy that Carol asked for. We even see Rick in the church as he asks for a sign.
"I could use a little something to help keep us going. Some kind of indication I'm doing the right thing."
He wants to know if he's doing the right thing, and not even 10 minutes later, Carl gets shot. Leading them to find the farm and eventually Sophia. You could even say, with Rick being the main character of this series, he has some sort of divine guidance, and I think the biggest hint of that possibility is right here.
Any sign will do.
This next location comes in season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead. This camp was found by a group of families who took refuge here soon after the outbreak began. While out scavenging for supplies, the group accidentally led a large herd of walkers to the camp. The adults in the camp sent their children away, led by the oldest kid named Annie. They fought for 3 days and eventually won. After the battle, the adults burned the dead walker bodies, unaware that the walkers were radioactive from a nearby power plant leak. The fire from the bodies released deadly radiation into the air, causing the adults to develop terminal radiation sickness. They locked themselves inside their cabins and made signs warning others of their sickness. Eventually, the adults died and turned into walkers inside their cabins. I love this location. I mean, a walker-infested campground is straight out of a horror movie. Plus, it has a really good story and a very eerie vibe with the warning signs and boarded up cabins full of walkers. And for these reasons, it's one of my all-time favorites in the show. Our next location comes in season 2 of the main show, and I know I just covered it in the FEMA video, but I really want to add it here as well. We see this location when Shane and Otis have to come here to find medical supplies for Carl.
Let's take a look.
When they arrive, we see walkers everywhere, and abandoned police and military vehicles. This is another location that has a larger story that we don't get to see. I really do love the set design here, and the destination of a refugee camp at a high school is very interesting. It's also the destination of Shane's true descent into moral ambiguity when he kills Otis. The saddest thing about it is that I can't entirely say Shane was wrong. In a world this broken, one decision can be the difference between life and death.
Otis?
And Shane had to live for Carl. Their fight through the high school was so intense because of these walkers being Frank Darabont's version.
Come on, Wake,
They were so much faster and more relentless, making for an exhausting escape that I physically feel every time I watch it. All these factors just make it one of my favorite sequences in the show, and that's why I had to add it. Now we have another Fear location, and this comes in just the very first season of the show. We learn this library was taken over by squatters and survivors who refused to evacuate after the National Guard entered Los Angeles. Eventually, most, if not all, the survivors inside the library turned, having died from unknown causes. A squad of soldiers tried to clear out the library, but became trapped. Their calls for help over the radio are heard by a squad who were transporting Travis to a nearby military compound. The squad arrives at the library, which is on fire, and Travis hears the chaos happening inside on the radio. In the end, only 3 make it out alive, throwing grenades back into the library as they run away. I pretty much like this location just because there's a small story we learned beforehand, and there's apparently a lot of chaos happening inside that we don't see. It's left to our imagination, which is kind of cool, even though I'd love to see what it looks like in there. Plus, it's an overrun library, and I think that makes for a pretty cool location. The daycare is a place we visit in season 5 of the main show, right after the birth of Judith.
But she needs formula, and soon or she won't survive.
No way. Not her. We ain't losing nobody else. I'm going for a run.
I'll back you up.
The group needs baby supplies, so Daryl and Maggie decide to go check out a nearby daycare. They don't run into any trouble here, but the setting of a place like this in the apocalypse is always unnerving. The fun and innocence of what used to be a daycare is completely gone as it now sits in ruins. The empty playground and overgrown grass carries this feeling, but the children's handprints on the wall seals the deal. So many of these children are gone now, while new life breathes at the prison. Seeing these hands is a reminder of what they must protect now. For Daryl especially, because he becomes Judah's surrogate father figure when Rick and Michonne leave the main show. With the main show being finished, I just look at this location and this whole scene differently, and that's the kind of thing I love, so I had to include it. This next location is briefly shown in Season 5 of Fear. It's like the record store I discussed earlier in a way that it doesn't feature a story or provide any kind of set piece. The only thing we know is that this is a superstore where Al and Morgan were resting before they eventually hit the road. I really enjoy the look of it and all the abandoned cars outside. Now, I'm just theorizing, but I feel like it suggests a lot of people were held up inside of it at one point. I think shoppers were inside when the outbreak got real bad and decided to hold up there thinking the building could be secured and had enough rations to live off of. I only speculate this because the amount of cars in the parking lot. Why are there so many here? Seems to me people hunkered down and never left. Unfortunately, we'll never know because we spend barely any time here. I know I could be reading too much into this, but I had the idea when I saw it, so I had to mention it. Now this one is a favorite to a lot of people it seems, but I understand it. There are lots of reasons to love it. Appearing in the 3rd season, we come across this location when Rick returns to King County with Carl and Michonne in search of weapons to fight against the governor. We see the town's main street has been transformed into a labyrinth with methodically placed traps. There's also animals in cages to lure walkers in and spike barriers to stop them. The most interesting part about it is that the entire town is covered in sayings detailing the unraveling of Morgan's mind. I love the eerie feeling it gives off before we even realize it's Morgan who's done all this. Then when it's revealed, you're left with so many questions on how he got to this point, and the episode delivers on all of it, creating a favorite episode for me and many others. Also, seeing more of King County is super cool, and the abandoned stores in the background, along with the side plot of Carl and Michonne going to the cafe, all makes this episode feel like it's on a bigger scale, if that makes sense. Speaking of the cafe, I also really enjoy it as its own location. The walkers trapped inside raises its own questions, and this moment of bonding is the first that we see with Carl and Michonne, making it extremely special.
Hey.
I know I got off topic right there, but Clear has some really great locations, and I love this episode, so that's why I wanted to add it. For the next location, we have the Whirling Waves water park from Season 4 of Fear. We see Alicia and Naomi travel to this abandoned water park, which appears to have been overrun by walkers.
Looks like people lived here.
Till the fences gave.
While exploring, they notice a past community of survivors tried to fortify the area before it eventually fell. They look up and see an abandoned survivor campsite built like a fort at the very top of the tallest water slide, and because the regular stairs are blocked, they decide to climb up the water slide. The only problem is the pool of walkers in their path. They wade through the water, fighting off walkers until they reach the slide. They carefully walk up the slide, and when they get to the top, they find a fort with medical supplies and a large mounted machine gun, along with ammunition. While searching the fort, they're ambushed by walkers, and the walkers cause them to slide into a pool that's filled with a group of walkers in the center. Alicia fights back using a heavy barrel of the mounted machine gun, and she fights off the walkers as they scramble to avoid sliding in the center. Of course, though, they make it out and eventually head home with the supplies and ammunition. I know this location is very popular, and I love it for the same reasons as everyone else. There's a story here of survivors held up inside, until eventually the walls fell, allowing the dead inside. Most people died down here, but the ones who survived made a shelter high enough where the walkers couldn't reach them. I'm guessing there are a lot of survivors that died up here because somehow walkers ended up in this pool. We also see 2 walkers that are still up here, so they must have died last from unknown reasons. It's just another tragic settlement that sticks with me because of its unique location and left behind story. I really just love this spot, and I think it's top tier in the universe of these shows, so I wanted to add it. Next is the movie theater from season 9 of the main show. In this episode, King Ezekiel, Carol, Jerry, and a group from the kingdom plan a mission to retrieve a projector bulb and a poster frame. They want the bulb so they can show movies at an upcoming fair in an attempt to bring joy to people and hopefully unite the communities again. They use a boombox to lead most of the walkers out of the theater and into the street so they can safely find the bulb. The Royal Cinema location stands out so much because of the king's mission to bring a rare moment of hope and nostalgia to this bleak world.
Bringing cinema back from the dead? Showing children their first film. Now that's something that would make our gathering of community something they'd never forget.
Most supply runs on this show are for food, guns, or medicine, but this is one of the only times our group risks their lives for entertainment.
A projector bulb? Really?
I know, it's not something we absolutely need, and it's a little dangerous, but we got it all planned out.
Plus, the glass frame from the theater is used to protect the Charter of Rights, which is what the community signed to represent law and unity. The mission here is about bringing everyone together, and I think that's extremely endearing. For aesthetic reasons, I also love this location. It's an abandoned theater full of walkers, and it's just an awesome set piece. And this episode doesn't disappoint. It also raises questions because there are so many walkers trapped inside here. First, they lead out some with a boombox, then later they say there's at least 40 more barricaded in the actual theater. That means there could be close to 100 walkers in this theater alone, and I find the story of that so interesting. Who put them here, and why are they trapped? This is just a really unique location, and I love going to the movies, so this one sticks with me, making it a personal favorite.
All my dreaming, all my wishing, it hasn't.
This next location is different from the others because we don't see the full scale of it, but there is an interesting story here that I like. There's a series of webisodes called Althea's Tapes. Each episode is a tape recording of an interview with a random survivor. One specifically I like is titled Clark. We learn in this tape that before the apocalypse, Clark and a woman named Ada both worked at a bank as manager and assistant manager. Clark decided to lock up the vault in an effort to protect people's valuable items when the outbreak began, expressing he believes them to be a part of history. While surviving in the countryside with his family, he decided to leave the safety of his home and made a trek back to the vault to see if it was still intact, and it was. At some point after Clark left, his assistant manager Ada and 3 others took refuge in the bank. However, under unknown circumstances, the other 3 survivors died and reanimated while Ada locked herself in a vault where she eventually died and reanimated too. We see Morgan and Althea get attacked by them when they enter the bank. After killing them, Al opens the vault and she recalls an interview with a manager she conducted where she got the code.
How do you know the combination?
Interviewed one of the managers a while back.
Inside, Al protects her tapes and locks them in safety deposit boxes. I love that we don't spend too much time here, but we get all the information we need from my favorite webisode of Fear. The idea of a man protecting people's valuables in history inside of a vault, then entrusting the vault to Al to protect her valuables is a beautiful thing, and that alone makes this location so special to me, even though not much happens here. It's the story I love, so if you haven't seen this webisode, you should watch it. This actor crushed it. In Season 7 of Fear is when we see our last location. The characters Charlie and Ali are riding through a town when they're forced to hide from another group. Ali says he knows where to hide and unlocks the doors to a nearby building we find out is an abandoned bowling alley. Inside, Charlie reveals she's never been bowling before, and here she bonds with Ali, who we find out later used to bowl here with his dad before the outbreak. He decides to teach her how to bowl in a romantic scene before they head out on the road again. The story aside, which is admittedly cute, I just find this place is a cool location to visit. An abandoned bowling alley is very unique, and even though there's no walkers here, it's still very interesting. I love the lighting, and this shot right here specifically. Also, seeing kids getting to be kids in a world like this is just very nice to see. And for all those reasons, I love this location, so I figured it should go last. So that is part 1 of my location series. Hopefully you enjoyed going through them with me, and if you did, stick around because I'll have the next one up pretty soon. If one of your favorites wasn't in this video, then it's probably in another one. Thank you for being here and watching. It means a lot. I hope to see you guys in the next one, so peace.